You could be the one designing or strategizing the next award-winning or climactic shift solution or website for your organization. Now let me show you how you could do this by using one critical thinking exercise, and it's simple really. Now we're going to specifically focus on optimizing the user experience from the moment they land on the homepage until they complete their purchase at checkout using SWOT analysis. So yes, we are analyzing your core pages for your e-commerce journey. The pages we're going to focus on are the homepage, product category page, product listing page, product detail page, product bag or cart page, depending on what you call it yourself, but then also the checkout. So SWOT, what does it stand for? SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, it's a strategic planning tool that helps you to assess the current situation and identify areas for improvement. Now, by applying SWOT to each stage of your commerce journey, what's going to happen here is that you're going to be able to gain valuable insights and make data-driven decisions for your website redesign or improvements. Let's start with the homepage. Strengths. Now, what does your homepage do well? Is it visually appealing? Now, what about its communication value? Does it clearly communicate your brand's value proposition? Is it easy to navigate? So what are the strengths? What does your homepage do well? How does it represent your organization? And how does it help people to understand what it is your organization does? What about weaknesses? Where does it fall short? Is the load time slow? Is the messaging unclear? Is the messaging unclear perhaps because it's fighting for attention with other components of the same weight above the fold? So you've got multiple messages creating higher degrees of what's known as cognitive barriers, or more importantly in this case, cognitive load. What about the search feature, the site search feature on the website? Is it difficult to find? Is it difficult to interact with? Is it too complex? Now, of course, we are looking at an e-commerce focused website. So if you've got tens, hundreds, thousands of products, you really need to make sure that this is one of your easiest and frictionless experiences on your website. That's the site search function. What about opportunities? What new features or improvements could you implement? What about consider personalized content, interactive elements, or improved calls to action? Now, some of those things I've mentioned are not easy to implement because it involves technology. Threats. So what external factors could hinder your homepage performance? Now, think about competitor homepages, changing user expectations or technological advancements, or Jacob's Law, what customers are doing everywhere else. Do they expect the same where they interact with your brand? And if they do, what are you doing differently to create friction which causes them to have to relearn or heighten levels of frustration within your user base? Now let's apply this to the product category and product listing page. Now this is all just from the top of the head, right? So we're just thinking through this. We're going to ask some more questions and think about our SWOT. So strengths. Do your categories logically organize products? Are the filters effective? Are they clear? Are they readable? Are you using terms that the consumer is interested in or familiar with? Does your product category listing page or your product listing page make it easy to browse and compare products if you have such an experience or feature on your website? What about weaknesses? Is it difficult to find specific products? Is the navigation clunky? Is it too busy? Are there too many options, for example? Now, some websites do require many options, and that makes sense depending on the site and the environment the user's immersed in. But as a rule and as a general guide, I would say you really want to try and minimize the cognitive load and make navigation, make communication, make visual attractiveness of your components clear and easy to understand and consume. What about product descriptions? Are they lacking? What about images? Are they low resolution? Opportunities. What about adding visual navigation? Is that something that would help your consumers? You'd have to test this, obviously. Implementing advanced filtering options. What about size and color and material? Things of that nature. What about optimizing product snippets, including relevant keywords and enticing information? How can you showcase deals and relevant offers? See, these are questions that we need to think about, of course, and SWOT analysis is designed ultimately to create the questions and to create that environment where you have that active discussion. Threats. Again, consider competitor category pages, changing user expectations for filtering, and the emergence of new product discovery methods, AI, for example. Is that something that would help or hinder your particular customer groups that you appeal to, or the ones who actually engage with your brand online? Let's apply SWOT to the product detail page. Now, the product detail page, this is where potential customers make critical decisions. So at this point in time, you really want to make sure that you provide the right kind of information at the right time for them in their journey. And you don't want to, ideally, give them information that will in turn potentially distract them or draw them away from the page, because then they're further away from buying. And you want them at this point to buy, or at least think about, is your product going to fit my lifestyle? So when it comes to strengths for the PDP, the product detail page, do you have high quality images and videos? Are the product descriptions detailed and informative? Do you prominently display pricing and shipping information? And is it, most importantly, easy to read? What about weaknesses? Are there missing details, such as material or fit or country of origin, if that's something that is legal and applies to your e-commerce website and category of products? Are the images too small? Do customers need to search for shipping costs? Is it clearly described on the page? What about time of expected delivery? Is that something that is clearly shown as well? Are customers looking for this type of information? What about social proofing, customer reviews? Are they hard to find, or are they missing entirely from the page? Okay, so opportunities for the PDP. How about implement 360-degree product reviews? What about customer reviews with star ratings and Q&A sections and detailed sizing charts, or in scale charts, as it were, so you can see how the product looks in relation to a person that may be holding or wearing that product? What about related product suggestions? Personalized recommendations based on browsing history, that can be very effective. And threats, which is our final one here. Losing sales because customers may be finding better prices elsewhere, or more detailed information on competitor sites, causing them to build trust in their sites versus yours. What about new review authentication methods? Could this be causing friction, or would this be of benefit to your experience and your consumers? And of course, you'd have to test this as well. So finally, let's analyze the product cart and checkout pages. Now, this is the most critical area, right? Because the person on the product detail page, the PDP, this is where they've decided, yes, I want to buy the product, so they've added it to cart. But guess what happens after that? Now it comes to where they actually will part money with you. Now, this is quite a large psychological barrier, because it's been proven that it's the hardest point of sale is getting someone to decide to part money with you as the brand, invest in your brand, buy your products basically. But once they've done that, and if you're able to deliver on your promise, that person is much more likely to come back to you because they've had a good experience. For example, how many of us have had good experiences, seen a good movie, read a good book, and then you're recommending it to somebody else? Most of us have done this. So when we think of psychological behavior, without making ourselves the user, this is what we can observe everywhere else. So there are Jacob's laws, you could say, or guidelines of behavior of what people generally do when they have a good experience. But it's good to keep that in mind so we can try to empathize what somebody else might do. But let's go back to our product cart and checkout pages, shall we? And apply SWOT to this. So strengths. Is the cart easy to modify? Does it clearly display the order total, including taxes and shipping? Is the checkout process secure, and is it streamlined? Is it frictionless, or is it or as frictionless as possible? Does it take a few steps, or does it take more than a few steps? Now, those more than a few steps could be known as cognitive barriers, right? So multiple steps, the more steps you have, the more barriers you present to the consumer. Now, weaknesses. Are there hidden fees that surprise the customer? That could be known as dark UX, not just dark commerce, right? You want to be upfront and transparent with your prices. This really helps to enable and build trust with your customer. Is the checkout process lengthy and complicated? Are there limited payment options? Are the options for shipping unclear? Are abandoned carts common? What's causing that? Are you able to look at that in more detail? Perhaps create heat maps or look at any video replay if your analytics platform has that kind of facility or feature. Worth looking into. What about opportunities? We can offer guests checkout options, multiple payment gateways, credit cards, PayPal, Apple Pay, etc. What about clear shipping estimates? Making it clearer so they have a really good idea of when that product's about to arrive. So that creates, again, a good and building your levels of trust with the customer. What about abandoned cart recovery emails with incentives? What about offering coupons and discounts if that is what your brand values stand for in your organization? If they're more of a bargain and discount brand, then that could be an option. But if they're a premium or luxury brand, perhaps not so. But again, you'd have to think how that aligns with your overall brand's vision, their direction, and their values as well. And how they communicate as well digitally and in other channels. Okay, so now we're going to look at threats finally. So high cart abandonment rates due to complicated checkout processes or security concerns. What if you have something like one-time password? Many organizations have this, many commerce sites have this, especially if someone has to log in order to make sure that they can securely look at their details and use their saved user details to buy products. But what if that is a broken process? These are the things that you need to make sure you test thoroughly. Even after implementation and rollout to the public or to what's known as perhaps your live or your production environment, then you definitely still need to test that. So what about data privacy regulations and legal regulations as well? Depending on the product you sell, you may need to take into account age-related regulations and restrictions, constraints. These things you may need to clearly communicate in your commerce process so people are fully aware of whether they can or whether they qualify legally to purchase your product, depending on what it is. So, revisiting the SWOT framework, adding the dangers. Now, before we wrap this up, of course, we've just used SWOT to be able to analyze the core pages within your commerce journey. And as you probably notice, it's fairly straightforward. It's not too difficult for us to do. As long as we keep a creative and curious mind and remain present, we can start to think of questions and actively discuss them. But before we wrap up, we want to crucially acknowledge the dangers of relying solely on SWOT analysis, because these aren't just website weaknesses or potential pitfalls inherent in the method itself. You see, what can happen here is that if you just use the method on its own, you could steer your redesign efforts in the wrong direction. For example, oversimplification. You see, SWOT can oversimplify complex situations. Now, the world isn't always neatly divided into 4 categories, right? And that's something that I'm sure you and I will happily agree on. So you might miss crucial nuances by forcing everything into strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat boxes. You see, design is more than just ticking a box, right? So what about subjectivity? Now, SWOT analysis relies heavily on subjective opinions. Now, what one person sees as a strength, the other person may perceive as a weakness. So whilst the collaboration and conversation is good, it is vital to validate SWOT findings with actual data. So analytics, user testing, A/B testing, or any other type of data that can help you to validate those findings and conclusions that you may have as a group. Now, to avoid relying solely on gut feeling, design is an empirical problem. So use data. Now, static snapshots. Now, SWOT does provide a snapshot in time, because remember, you are considering the current weaknesses as you see it in that moment of whatever it is you are analyzing. In our case, and our example, it's that core commerce journey, the e-commerce landscape and commerce landscape. So we're talking about digital and physical now. Let's just apply the principle across the board. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing. Now, what's an opportunity today could be a threat tomorrow. So you need to continually update and reevaluate your SWOT to stay ahead of the curve. You see, design is continuously evolving as a discipline. So lack of prioritization. SWOT doesn't automatically tell you which weaknesses to address first or last. You see, you need to combine your SWOT analysis with other frameworks, such as a prioritization framework, impact versus effort. We're going to talk about that in a future video and deep dive into that too. Now, you want to do that to make sure you can make informed decisions about where you focus your resources. You see, design is a practical art. And to be honest, guys, doing that means that you are implementing a technique or methodology or an approach known as triangulation. You're using multiple layers of data to make sure that you can have better, informed, and more confident decisions. Analysis paralysis. Now, if you think and overanalyze, you can fall into the trap of what's known as analysis paralysis. So don't let SWOT become an exercise for inaction. Use it as a starting point, not a substitute for execution. Now, design is a practical art, not a theoretical science. Essentially, SWOT is a valuable starting point. It's a great exercise, and as I've mentioned in the previous video, it's one of the first exercises or approaches I used to start evaluating problems to solve, and I absolutely love using it. However, it is not a complete solution. You need to back it up with data, prioritize ruthlessly, be prepared to adapt as the market evolves. You see, don't treat this as gospel or this is your snapshot in time that stays the same forever. Treat it as the tool in your design toolkit, one of many. So, by conducting a thorough SWOT analysis of each page in your e-commerce journey, acknowledging its potential pitfalls, supplementing it with data-driven insights and prioritization, you can identify specific areas for improvement and develop a redesign strategy that addresses your weaknesses, capitalizes on your strengths, seizes new opportunities whilst mitigating risk. See, remember to constantly monitor your performance and gather customer feedback and adapt your strategy as needed. This nuanced data-informed approach will help you to create a user-friendly, conversion-optimized website that drives sales and fosters customer loyalty. Thanks for watching. Stay present, stay curious, and see you in the next video.